Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I am your host, Reverend Jim Webb. I am the Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel and the author of The Miracle of Prosperity, The Soul of Prosperity, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, as well as two other ebooks, Prosperity from A to Z, and 30 P's for Prosperity. And on this show, we explore all avenues of prosperity. We explore professional prosperity, in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, where we have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where we provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. We look at relationship prosperity, where our relationships are a source of upliftment and support. We look at family prosperity. We look at logistical prosperity, where our lives work more easily and effortlessly, and where there is a minimal amount of struggle. And of course, we look at financial prosperity, where we have enough of all types of resources, including finances, to share and to spare. So, in essence, we look at how we can adopt spiritual tools and teachings to enable us to allow more prosperity, and how we can release miseducation and habits that would block our prosperity. And tonight we've got a special show planned for you. As you know, a few weeks ago, the pastor Michael Mangus shared some of his favorite affirmations from Catherine Ponder. And there were some underlying truths in those affirmations that those affirmations resurrected. So on Resurrection Sunday, we can resurrect the core truths within us that allow prosperity. There is a truth within you. There is a light within you. There is a knowledge and an awareness within you that can attract prosperity. This truth, this light, this way within you may have been forgotten. It may have been covered over by the trauma of your past or by your miseducation, where others told you what you weren't or what you could not do, that caused you to forget about your divinity. But that truth still exists. It still lives within you, and it is still a part of you. So our task tonight is to resurrect that truth. And I won't be doing this alone. I've asked our producer, Pastor Michael Mangus, to come on. He did such a wonderful show a few weeks ago, and we want to look at the basic truths that we can resurrect from those prosperity teachings and other prosperity teachings. Hello, Michael.
Well, hello there. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Sunday to all of our viewers. Good to see everyone this evening. Thanks for inviting me on. Now, we have to be a full disclosure here, Reverend Webb.
Okay.
The reason you invited me on was because we didn't have a guest this evening.
Oh, Michael. I would have invited you anyway. I was going to invite you anyway. It was always on my mind, like that.
Well,
you were always on my mind.
Yeah, well. So you were sharing with me before some things that you watched my show.
Yes, I did.
Beginning of the month. So you had some revelations that came up. So if you want to share some of those, and then I'll comment on them.
I would love you to comment on them. The first thing I noticed about Catherine Ponder's affirmations is that they are always in the now. And there was a basic truth of prosperity that we can resurrect from the way she phrased her affirmations in the now. Do you want to share what your thoughts are about that, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. I think that affirmations have to be phrased in the now. So the great spiritual truths that come up through general affirmations, like, for example, what Catherine Ponder states, really, I think, really help us to kind of set the soil
Mm-hmm.
for greater prosperity. And also, I think that too, that um, the now moment is all that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go ahead and we affirm it, that we already have it. When we already have it energetically, we have it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go away. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we already have it in our consciousness or in our awareness. So yes, all affirmations are done in the now, that you already have it. So
And that avoids the fallacy of the future, the fallacy that someday in the future I'm going to have it, and that future never comes. That's a fallacy.
no,
So,
have it now. And
yes.
then this comes up during when I do private sessions with individuals. They'll say, "Well, it's not here yet, and that I be nice in the future." No, if the desire is in your heart, again, that's God wanting to be expressed in you, as you, and through you.
Yes.
So to do it in the now and to have it in the energy. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing I think it's very important, and that's why I like Catherine Ponder affirmations, is that it stirs up the energy. It allows you uh, to feel prosperous, to have it
Yes.
now.
Yes.
That is the see, and again, I think that like in with the study of like quantum physics and
Mm-hmm.
metaphysics, is that when you have it in the now in your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
that you already have it. And they'll say, well, it's not here yet. Quit looking at it being not here and
Yes.
know that it's already here.
Yes. Didn't
Um,
notice Holmes say ideas held in mind reproduce after their kind? So if you hold it in your mind, if you hold it in your energy, if you hold it vibrationally, it is inevitable that that energy that you vibrate outward will emanate from you and grab its reflection and draw it back to you. So
r-
you first have to hold it in your energy. Is that accurate?
right. Well, that's from the unity tradition.
Hmm.
It's called the law of mind action, which is
Yes.
thoughts held in mind produce of their own kind.
Hmm.
I think the missing piece to that is something that I explained a few weeks ago, is
Hmm.
that when we speak our word into this great law of life,
Hmm.
that's what we're doing. We're
Hmm.
going ahead and we're speaking it into our subconscious mind, which is our atmosphere in the universal subjective or subconscious mind.
Hmm.
So when we go ahead and Holmes talked about the whole idea of embodiment,
Hmm.
which means you already have it.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, you already have it. So and again, and that's another secret to using affirmations, is sometimes is that you'll get a kind of the bell will go off, something within you will say, you don't need to say this anymore.
Hmm.
And then you just go ahead and you trust that it already is. So I would say that's a resurrection power statement, is to
Yes.
understand that when you want something manifest. First of all, it is a God idea wanting to manifest in and through you.
Yes.
So and again, the God qualities of, when we talked about this before we went on the air: love, life, light, peace, power, beauty, joy, abundance, prosperity, wisdom, creativity. All of those are of the Creator. And so we are one with that. We are the emanation of that one expressing in and through and as us. And so that's what makes us powerful.
Hmm.
So it really does us benefit to be doing affirmations on a regular basis, thinking about what we want instead of what we don't want. Individuals will say, well, I feel blocked. Okay, that's fine. What do you want instead of the blockage?
Exactly.
And focus on that. That's
Yes.
what happens. If anyone has a comment, we're just talking this evening, please go ahead. If you have a question for us, that
Yes.
would be great.
Yes. So, one of the things, especially on Resurrection Sunday, we teach is exactly what you just said, Michael, which is focus on the resurrection, not the crucifixion. The
Right.
resurrection meaning, what is the end state that this current experience will move you to? Focus on that.
Yeah.
What energy flows where attention goes, and energy is the creative power. So if you put your attention on what you are creating, you add more energy to that versus wasting that energy on what already is that you don't enjoy, which magnifies that which you do not enjoy.
Right. And I think that, again, with the celebration, the commemoration of Holy Week, is that a lot of times, especially in the Christian church, is that the emphasis is on the crucifixion,
And not
whereas it needs to be on the resurrection. See, resurrection, whether or not that you believe the resurrection happened or not, let's just kind of put that aside,
Mhm,
because there is doubt about that. There
mhm,
is doubt with historians and Bible scholars and other people. All
mhm,
right. But let's put that aside. What the great teachings, including Christianity, is trying to bring forth within all of us is that we can resurrect our own lives,
mhm,
is that we can use that same resurrection power
mhm.
that Jesus used to resurrect himself. We can use that to make a huge difference in the world and in our lives too.
Yes,
Again, the whole idea of Jesus being the great um, teacher and example rather than the great exception.
exactly. He said, "These things I do, ye shall do greater things."
So when are we actually going to believe that though? When are we actually going to say, you know what, I really don't want this in my life. So
Mm,
what I'm going to do here is, instead of, first of all, if you have something going on in your life, please don't tell anyone except your prayer partner and also a minister or practitioner. You don't want those words coming out of your mouth. You don't want to echo what's going on in your life. Okay? So I'm not saying deny it.
mhm.
I'm just saying that don't quit talking about it to your friends, your family, everyone else, because they'll say, "Oh, poor you," and it's like, no, that's not going to get you out of the rut. What will get
That's
you out?
talking up the sickness instead of talking up the healing, whatever
Right.
that imbalance is.
Oh, and I
You
know,
wanna talk up the healing and not the imbalance.
and I notice this a lot still with
Mhm,
people in our teaching,
mhm,
is that, we'll get together and we'll start talking about what's wrong with us rather than what's right with us. Florence Scovel
exactly.
Shinn said, let's have a new fashioned conversation instead of the old fashioned conversation.
Mhm,
Let's talk about what we want in our lives. So, see, the reason you only share what's going on in your life with a prayer practitioner or a minister is because that they are trained to see beyond the appearance and to know the truth for you. So it's a lot like going to the auto mechanic. You have something rattling in the engine, or something's going on. You have a noise, or you're not starting in the morning. Well, again, you're gonna tell your practitioner or your minister, you're going to tell them what's going on so
mhm.
that they can diagnose what's going on and have you focus again on what you want rather than what you don't want.
Absolutely. You've got a loose belt, here's a new one. End of story. It is fixed, it is done, it is over. And let's unpack this just a little more, because and I wanna marry this to something else you said before. You said something before. You said we must embody the truth.
Yes.
And I want to unpack that a little bit. And I want to unpack that in terms of why we don't broadcast our woes to others. I want to just put those two together. When you embody the truth, you
Yes.
have absorbed that truth to all of the many layers of your consciousness.
Mhm.
Each cell of your body vibrates with it, all of your energy vibrates with it, and you are that truth. So you have joined with the great creative force, the great I am. And when you say, I am, you are saying, I am the embodiment of this. This moves to me. This moves through me. This expresses as me. This is the truth I am. And that is so powerful.
Yes.
And it can be powerful for what we desire, but it can also be powerful for what we don't want. And when we go tell every of our neighbors, I am sick. When we go tell every of our friends, I am depressed. When we go tell every of our acquaintances, I am angry. You are embodying that.
Right.
And you are supporting the magnification of that instead of embodying the healing, the joy, which is your natural state, and bringing that back into balance.
I like what Brandy says. She says that principle is not bound by precedent. We can rise. Absolutely, Brandy. We know the facts. The facts are maybe that you got a report from the doctor that you didn't like, or
Mm,
the bank account has more month than money,
yes.
and all that other stuff. We understand that.
Mhm.
But when we start applying the truth and start
Yes.
really knowing the truth rather than getting into panic, what
Mhm.
would happen if when something comes up, rather than the blame of on some level, you're saying, well, I created this. Well, yeah. But again, it's not about blame, it's about empowerment. It's
Yes.
about saying, okay, if on some level that I have created this, then I can create something else.
Yes. It's like, wow, look at all the power I have. If I had the power to create this, just think if I redirected that energy, look what I could create that is for my good.
Right. Deborah, hello, Deborah. How are you?
Yeah.
Resurrection of the real message, which is that we are the totality of Christ. Easter Sunday always makes me feel so hopeful in the midst of my crisis.
Yes.
Yes, and that the way out, Deborah and everyone else, again, is what do you want instead of what is going on? Again, so the tool is to accept the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is just the way it is. Okay.
Mhm.
So, if you, whatever that we resist persists is taught by the Buddhists. So
Mhm.
if we just accept, yeah, this is what's going on and that I can change this.
Yes. It came to pass. It didn't come to stay.
Right. Hi,
And
Brandy. And she says, well, thank you for this. And Deborah also says, she says,
oh,
those who
that's
don't
Deborah
believe
Van
in,
Worshel. Okay.
oh, Deborah, hi. Hi, Deborah. Those who don't believe in resurrection may believe in resuscitation. Whatever you believe, the grave is empty. Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
Yes. So
So,
let's work with something else as well.
okay.
Let's work with not only were Catherine Ponder's affirmations bound in the now, but they embody the Christed energy within us all, which we
Yes.
are resurrecting. One of my favorite Catherine Ponder affirmations was, I alone can't do it, but the Christ within me can, and is creating miracles in my mind, my body, and affairs right now. And what I often do is I do an affirmation sandwich.
Okay.
And I start off with that affirmation as the platform for whatever it is I am affirming. Because what that does for me is it resurrects my awareness of myself as that Christed creative energy. You see, people often think that Christ was Jesus' last name, Jesus the Christ. But
It was
the
Jesus of Nazareth. Go
exactly.
ahead.
And Christ, the Christos, the heart of God, Jesus at one with the heart of God. That Christed energy is an energy that we all have, for we are all at one with the heart of God. There are times that we just forgot. And so when that part of me that is God is brought up, is examined, is uh, is resurrected, is put forth in front of the parts of me that may be in fear or shame or doubt. Each time I do that, the part of me that is God takes over a little more, and the part of me that forgot is a little less. As one of our ministers says, more of thee and less of me. And
Yeah.
so when I work with the idea, the Christ, the power of Christ within me, which the Bible said, greater is the power of God within you than anything in your outer world. When
Mhm.
I work with that energy, it places me in the realm of unlimited possibilities. And so anything that comes after that is already elevated to not only the possible, not only the probable, not only the likely, but it already is.
And I think that people, and I will say this when I'm doing one-on-one with individuals, is I'll say, if I had a mirror that could uh, magnify or show you how divine you are,
Mhm.
you would be absolutely blown away. And that the whole idea with the crucifixion, and I was sharing this today with our congregation here in Akron, is that again that the crucifixion tells us that something must die
Mhm.
before something is reborn. So what must die in us is the old thought.
Exactly.
What must be sacrificed on the altar
Mhm.
must be the old individual, the old egoic individual.
The old thoughts of not enoughness, the old thoughts of shame, the
Right.
old thoughts of sin, guilt, and doubt, those must be. And you know what we did today? We did something very fascinating in that we looked at crucifixion differently.
Okay.
Because quite often we think of crucifixion as this awful thing. Oh, it must have hurt, all those nails and the crown of thorns and the vinegar in the wound. Oh, that must have been awful. And so we think of crucifixion as this awful punishment. But what we worked with today in church was crucifixion was simply transformation, the
Yes.
releasing of the old to create a void so that the new could flow in, because you know nature abhors a vacuum. So when we release those old fears, when we release those old doubts, when we release old shame, when we release old energies of not enoughness, when we release any ideas of ineligibility, we make room for the truth that we are the holy beloveds of God. We are fully deserving. We are innocent, perfect, and worthy. And whatever it is that we affirm, whatever it is that we desire, whatever it is that we choose to create with the power and energy of God can be created in that void
Yes.
once that which is unlike it is released. And so that is crucifixion. It is just the release. And what you're releasing wasn't true in the first place, so it need not price
Absolutely
your
not.
name.
So the whole theme of the week has been transformation.
Yes,
That's the theme of the week. And again,
yes.
it's not just the worship of Jesus or his blood sacrifice.
Mhm,
It's about the whole idea that Jesus went ahead and, from the teachings of Ernest Holmes, he said that he allowed this to happen so
mhm.
that he can be again the great example, so that
Yes,
he can show that we can also rise above our circumstances and again be resurrected.
yes.
So I
He
think
said,
that
"These
again,
things
this
I
is
do."
a
Yes.
right.
He
This
said,
is
"These
I
things."
Go
Yes, he
ahead.
said, "These things I do, ye shall do greater things." And that basically tells us the power that I demonstrate, the power that I exemplify is the power that lives within you. And that's a wonderful way for us to take a little break, come on back and answer some questions.
Yes, please, if you could, please go ahead and put some questions in the comments and we'll read them during the break. And then we'll come back and Reverend Jim will answer them.
So we'll be right back here on the New Thought Media Network.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network with Pastor Michael Mangus. And we are looking at Resurrection Sunday and transformation. And we are looking at all of the ways that we can resurrect the truth that has lived within us, that we have forgotten and that has been covered over. And Pastor Michael, you said something quite intriguing that I want to unpack a little more.
Okay.
Segment. You talked about the idea that focusing on what you desire is not denying what is going on right now.
No.
It is just disempowering it, almost like unplugging that energetic current so that energy cannot create anymore. Do you want to elaborate on that a little more for our audience?
I'd love to. So, yeah, so what happens is, again, with working with myself and with others, what happens is that individuals, again, getting caught up in the moment, again, giving a lot of energy in that moment. So the secret out of it, to quit spinning our tires, is that we need to push in another direction. So how we do that is by saying, okay, this is just the way it is right now. But to set an intention on how you really want life to be. Now, some people say, well, script it out a week. So on how you do that is just, you get out your legal pad or your journal, and you go ahead and you set a date for like the next week and say, man, this is really so nice that, now things have settled down at work, and, it's so peaceful and calm, and now I get recognition. See, when you start moving in that direction, what happens is that, again, that you're right, you do pull the plug out of what's going on, and then again empowering yourself to choose again. That's our, I played the commercial that says from one of the shows, it says choice your creative superpower.
Yes.
That is our superpower. We can choose consciously. And I get, again, when I'm doing private sessions, people will say, well, Michael, how do I change? And I say, well, it has to be done consciously. You have to do it consciously. You have to say, okay, enough's enough. And this is what I am focusing on now. This is where I'm putting my attention now, because I recognize how creative I am. I am.
Mm-hmm.
So because I am, that I go ahead and I set a new cause in motion.
Mm-hmm.
I go ahead and I say, well, this is neither person, place, or thing. This is just a manifestation of the thought. For me, this is what I do. I go ahead and I say, I order my subconscious mind to completely get rid of it now and forever. And then I affirm that. So that's a denial. And so I go ahead and then use an affirmative thought, which says that I am whole, healthy, and well. Divine life flows through me. That there is nothing but good in my life because there's nothing but God in my life. So what I'm stating then with the use of affirmations, I'm not trying to make something happen. What I'm doing is I'm aligning myself with my divine nature and allowing that to come forth, because that's the truth about me. I want to acknowledge somebody real quick here. The Reverend Deborah Battle Marshall, who is Reverend Jim's sister and also a Baptist minister. Well, wonderful. How wonderful. Now, Reverend Jim, did the ladies bring their hats today? Did they look good, wonderful in their hats?
We had some hats today. We had some hats today. It was wonderful.
Yeah, you dress. Yeah, and see, there's symbolism in that again, that we are taking off the old clothes,
right,
and we're putting on the new.
That's fascinating. Our new Easter outfits also align with the theme of resurrection, transformation, the newness of the spring, the newness of the season, just like chicks hatching, newness.
Right.
It's all the same theme, and it is resurrecting the truth by burying that which no longer serves us. As Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead.
Absolutely.
So that's another fascinating correlation. Now, we had a question from Rosemary Isabella Meacham, and her question: what ways can resurrection/transformation show itself in your life? Well, let me give you an example of how resurrection/transformation can show itself in your life. Perhaps you have had a relationship with somebody for years that was based on a certain current script or theme. I'll use the example of a young girl who has always had a troubled experience with her mother. Perhaps her mother was always critical and diminishing of the daughter, perhaps due to misplaced love, but critical nonetheless. And perhaps a dynamic began 40 years ago between the daughter and mother that played out for 40 or so years. Well, that daughter perhaps was made to feel less than, inadequate, unworthy, unloved, unlovable. But with transformation, perhaps that daughter began to tap into, through meditation, to tap into a universal source of love and to feel that love flowing to her and through her. Perhaps that daughter began to experience that love as an aspect of her, and perhaps that daughter began to embody that love.
Right.
So that daughter no longer showed up as the inadequate, ugly duckling daughter who was always awkward and the object of her mother's derision and ire. That daughter then showed up as the holy beloved of Christ. That daughter showed up as her God self. That daughter showed up full. That daughter showed up innocent. That daughter showed up perfect. That daughter showed up whole and holy. And that dynamic between the mother had to change. The mother tried to push a little more. The mother tried to push a little harder. But the more the mother pushed, the more the daughter stood in her divinity, because she had transformed that prior idea, that prior consciousness, that egoic smallness, that egoic guilt, that egoic not enoughness, that had been crucified. And what had been resurrected was the truth of her God self. So the mother pushed until she got tired, and the mother said, "This game isn't working anymore. I don't like it." And the daughter said, "Like it or lump it, here I am."
Yeah, I think, Isabella, just another idea about this. So when I think about this idea, what ways can resurrection transformation show itself in your life? I would say that again, that to follow the path of creation, which is as within,
Mhm,
so without.
mhm.
So when we follow that path, rather than trying to fix our world on the outside, to still have the pattern within us, what happens sometimes is that if that pattern is still within us, what happens is that we may have fixed it in the outer by getting rid of the relationship, by changing where we are located, or by
Changing jobs.
change jobs. But again, if we go, like, for example, to the next job, and we still have issues and problems, guess who was at both jobs? So again, the reason that I am pointing this out is, again, this is not about blame or shame. This is about education. This is about understanding about how we create.
Yes,
So Isabella, I would say that the way that it shows up is when we start creating from the inside out. What happens is that life becomes so much easier.
absolutely. So much
That
joyful,
Yes, and
so
so
much more peaceful.
right, and so what happens is that out of the blue, stuff happens. Out of the blue, that a wonderful relationship happens. Out of the blue, we receive a like a bonus or a raise or something. Out of the blue, there's opportunities. So what makes those out of the blue moments is us.
Mhm,
So
yeah,
when we intend that,
mhm.
when we go ahead and we say, whatever's causing it in me, whether person, place, or thing within me, I ask that it just be taken away.
Mhm.
I cast my burden, as Florence Scovel Shin. I cast my burden upon the Christ within, and I go set free, and I'm set
And
free.
I am set free.
I am set free. So then, what needs to follow that is again an affirmative thought of what you want. And the other thing too, I think, with using the resurrection power of affirmations, is you do it with a light touch. It's done with that you go ahead and you believe it and know it, and then you let it go.
Mhm.
And then you think about something else. Now, the one thing that I think that a lot of people in this teaching and metaphysics and new thought, whatever that you want to call it, is that the whole idea of feeling good during the day. What can you focus on during the day that makes you feel good. Because again, that's what the society is addicted to, which is feeling bad.
Mhm.
So the whole idea of, well, how can I feel good? And the best way is gratitude, is to be grateful for your life, is to be grateful for each and every moment, that each and every moment is a miracle. And that from coming from that, what happens is we feel so much better. And I would say also what makes us feel better is having purpose in our lives. So individuals will say, well, I don't know what to do. So again, from your heart, ask yourself, what am I to be doing right now? What would give me joy right now? And start living from your heart rather than your head. And
Yes.
what will happen is that your world will transform because,
Yes.
again, you're living from love and not from the head.
Yes. Reverend Pastor Michael, I want to drill down on something else you said as well,
Okay.
because it actually mirrors the third point in my Easter sermon today, which is look within and not without. All that you desire begins within you. It begins with the energy within you that you cultivate. When you work with prayer, when you work with meditation, when you connect with God regularly and embody the energy of God, you are creating an inner environment that allows all of your good to flow through. And so when you create, focus first, as Reverend Michael said, on that inner environment, that inner energy, that inner flow, that inner desire, that inner feeling. And then let that go into the universe and find its reflection. Now, the reason I want to focus on this and I want to drill down on this a little more is because quite often we waste so much creative energy blaming other people. We waste so much creative energy wishing somebody else would do something different so that we could be happy. We waste so much creative energy trying to change things that don't want to change, trying to change people that don't want to change, trying to change circumstances outside of our control. Now, just imagine if you could deploy that creative energy within you to create what you desire instead of, I don't want them to say that to me. I don't want them to treat me that way. I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. Oh, it reminds me of an old song. Oh, what peace we often forfeit, and oh, what needless pain we bear when we waste that creative energy outside of us. That creative energy, we can use it to build, to cultivate an energy, a hothouse, if you will, within,
Right.
where our desires can be, desires can become fertilized by love. And then they have no choice but to grow and show up in our outer world. And that's what another thing I wanted to drill down on that you said about beginning within and focusing within.
And I think too that, and again, we do this a lot on this show, is that we focus on, for example, like inner child work, and we focus on things that, again, that block individuals' prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
So now, again, that you've cleaned and cleared at least some of the blocks,
Mm-hmm.
now is the time to go. Now that you've taken out your
Trash.
you've taken out your trash, but you've also you're also tilling the soil.
Yes.
That now you can go ahead and you can plant, like I talked about a few weeks ago, you can plant new seeds
Yes.
in there and allow them to grow.
Yes.
Now, what will happen is this, that if there is anything else that's blocking it, it will come up naturally.
Mm-hmm.
While you're doing your affirmations, while you are visualizing, again, don't deny it. Just say, well, it's there, and I release this now
Mm-hmm.
for my greater good. I release this now for my greater good. This is not the truth about me. The truth about me is this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's a much gentler way than going ahead and just, again, denying the feelings, because again, usually what happens is when you deny the feelings, buried feelings, when they go in to us alive, they stay alive.
Mhm.
So when we go ahead and we just acknowledge them and just say, oh, you're there, and I release you and I let you go. So see, that's another way of drilling down to discover, because see, something wants to come forth from you. Desire means of the Father. So, or of the Father, Mother. So to honor that within us. And again, how do you know that it's a proper desire? If it does not hurt other people or yourself, then it's something that, again, that you do not take away from other people wanting what you want, because it is God wanting to express in, through, and as you. So when you do that, you go ahead and you bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. When you come from your heart and go ahead and to honor your desires and know that, through creative principle, that you can go ahead and you can create the life that's within you. That what happens is that, again, that your world transforms. And it's like magic,
Mhm.
but it's not magic. It is, again, the exact working of spiritual principles and laws. So that's the reason why we study things like cause and effect. That's the reason why we study forgiveness. That's why we study what we do. And I think, too, another thing, too, Reverend Jim, is the whole idea of practicing the presence every day is really just sitting in the silence and really practicing the presence of God in us. And how you do that, one of the things I recommend is, again, focusing in and through and as your heart.
Yes.
So again, the divine in us, through us, as us, again, resides there. I mean,
Yeah.
resides all through us, but again, that's the portal, that's the gate, that's the door. So
And
when
that is also the X factor of transformation. That is the X factor of transformation. Anything that has been created that hurts us, as you said, Reverend Michael, is not of love.
Right.
When we practice the presence, God's presence is love. When we feel that, when we absorb that, when we experience that, when we host that, and when we embody that, that love heals those wounds. That love re-educates the miseducated parts of us that thought ourselves unworthy, ineligible, and somehow wanting. That love takes the parts of us that felt disempowered, weak, beaten down, and hurt, and causes them to remember that they are holy, mighty, and they possess and are portals for the power of love. So that practicing the presence, God's presence, is the X factor that transforms those old, non-productive, and actually destructive feelings. That's God's love that transforms them. Interestingly enough, one of the most ancient fables is basically a fable of transformation, and that is Beauty and the Beast.
right.
It's an ancient story, as ancient as man itself. It was originally called the story of Gilgamesh, about
Yes.
a monster that love transformed. And if you look at most movies, there is an arc. The arc of most movies is problem. The problem creates drama. Something happens. There is an X factor that transforms things into resolution. And on some level, that X factor is always the introduction of love. So when you practice the presence every day, you're introducing that X factor to those parts of you that have said no to God, that have felt unworthy, that have felt ineligible and powerless. And you are teaching them something different, that
Yes.
you are God and you are powerful and you are lovable and you are deserving. And that changes your outcome.
So I actually read the Bible. I know for some of you that's a shock, but that is my tradition. Okay, is the Bible. That's what I grew up with. That's what I honor as a tradition. And
Mhm.
again, that I am a follower of the teachings of Jesus.
Mhm.
All right. So I consider myself Christian.
Mhm.
So this whole idea, especially in the Old Testament, about the Holy of Holies, let us recognize that the Holy of Holies is within
In you.
us.
Yes.
The
And Jesus
reason
said
it's
it.
not
Know ye not, and the Jesus said it. Know ye not that the kingdom of heaven lives within you?
so again from the Old Testament, from the
Mhm.
especially uh, from the beginning, from the Torah, from the beginning 5 books,
Mhm.
is that God had to make itself manifest within the group
Mhm.
because again he was asking a lot of the group of saying, listen, I know it's scary, but I am with you.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and again, the metaphysical meaning of the Old Testament is when we go against spiritual laws and principles.
Mhm.
It's not that God punishes us, but we are punished because we have violated the law.
Mhm.
We have violated the principle.
Mhm.
And so once we go, and that's what Ernest Holmes loved about Christianity, was the whole idea of grace.
Mhm.
Is that we can be forgiven, that karma can instantly go
Mhm.
once we accept grace in our lives. I
Mhm.
don't know who I'm saying that to this evening, but
Somebody needs to hear it.
somebody needs to hear it. When you accept how lovable you are in the grace of God, what happens is you transform.
And
When
when
you
you
really know
transform
that.
from within, your world transformed. That door that you was shut in your face opens. That
Yes.
opportunity that passed you by returns. That feeling that you had at 16 of unlimited capabilities comes back.
Right.
And that's what grace does. So we're going to go to break now, and then we're going to
Well,
come
why
back
don't
with some
we why don't we
surprises.
just well, do you want to go to break or do you want to go ahead and because you have a lot of wonderful things. We have 7 minutes left. So do you what would you like to do, show host?
Ah, let's go to break, and then we'll have 2 minutes, 5 minutes to do all the upcoming attractions.
Okay, so we're gonna do a 60-second break, and then we will be right back here on your New Thought Media Network.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network with the Miracle of Prosperity and Pastor Michael Mangus. I want to thank you, Pastor. You've got so much going on. You produce my show, you
Right,
produce other shows,
right,
you do weddings, you do funerals, you do counseling, you do
right,
teaching, you do speaking. What are you up
right.
to these days?
Well, if people want to get a hold of me, I do take a certain amount of private clients. If you would like to get in touch with me, let me go up and show you That's my email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. And again, that sometimes that, my fees are wonderfully reasonable because they are always within a range that you pick. So again, that, it really, if you're struggling with something, if there's something that, again, that is really, again, what that is that can be your breakthrough. That can be your breakthrough. But again, to help break through that, sometimes that you need a little coaching and counseling around that. So pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. Reverend Jim Webb, what do you have going on these days?
I have a couple things going on. I have a new set of classes that begin on April 15th. And my first class has in mind all the people who have just wanted to sit down and have a conversation with God, talk to God about anything and everything on their minds, get Spirit's perspective, get Spirit's healing, get individual prayers. And that is called Ask Spirit Anything. It's a channeled class for 6 weeks, where for 6 weeks, for 2 hours every Monday evening, people can ask Spirit anything about any aspect of their lives, the political situation, the world situation, whatever.
Anything?
Answer anything. And Spirit will
Anything?
answer the questions. Anything.
Okay.
Spirit will offer the spiritual perspective.
Okay.
And a new way to look at it, new ways to approach it, new ways to overcome it, and offer prayers, affirmations, as well as practical advice and healing energy for anything on your mind. That's 6 weeks beginning April 15th. And then I have a second class because I do my classes 2 for 1, where you can come to one, or you can come to the other, or you can come to both. And this one is called You Can Heal Your Life. And this class is 6 weeks of looking at not only the challenge that you are ready to overcome, but looking at the inner consciousness that can be transformed in order to overcome that challenge. Guidance, coaching, counseling, healing, prayers, affirmation, and upliftment in a confidential, safe environment so that we can all overcome any barriers to our good. And again, this is a 2 for 1. You can sign up for the Monday class. When you choose, you can take the Thursday class or vice versa. All the classes are on Zoom and they're recorded. Now, if you can't make the classes, you can get the recordings for only $100. There's also a discount for pre-registration, and you can get this information on my website. And I'm really excited about these classes. And, I'm always getting not expired. I'm not getting expired. Cancel.
You're
I'm
getting
not getting
inspired.
expired. I'm getting inspired.
Okay.
I'm always getting inspired. And I have another pop-up that popped into my head. I got the inspiration to do a pop-up. And this is actually due to popular demand. So the question people ask me most is, what do I do when I get triggered? And so I teach this as part of certain classes, and it's a whole chapter in a couple of my books. But I wanted to focus some time on this since this is so core to our healing and transformation. Because our trigger is an invitation to healing. Our trigger is whenever we are triggered, we feel like we are being crucified, and we can resurrect the truth. And so this class will work us through a set of proven spiritual ideas, principles, and practices that can help us to use our triggers productively. Now, quite often, as you know, we use our triggers unproductively. We get triggered, we break down, relationships break down, we create more drama and trauma, we create more conflama, which is conflict and drama.
Can I use that?
You can use
Conflama?
that.
Okay, that's a good one.
Conflict and drama, conflama.
Okay.
What if we could use our triggers for our growth, for our healing, for deeper self-awareness, deeper self-love, and ascension to a higher vibration of love? So that's what we're going to do. And it's a one-time pop-up class on I can't read that date, but you can read
Yes, it's
the date.
Thursday, April the 10th at 7:30.
And Thursday might be April 11th, but it's at 7:30 on that Thursday.
Okay, whatever the Thursday is. I don't have my calendar here.
I might have a typo on that, but it's a one-time pop-up class. My pop-up classes sell out very quickly, and I only have a limited number of people so that I can interact with everyone.
Yeah, so if you really want to be in these classes, you need to act like right now, because they do sell out. And what happens is, and I know this because I know that Jim tells me that on the day of the class, he usually gets 3 or 4 phone calls from individuals saying, well, can I get in the class? And the answer is no. If you really are called to do this class, then please register now. Don't wait.
Yes.
So,
And if you want more information, catch me on my website or text me. Somebody just texted me. They probably said, I want a slot in that class.
okay.
So that's what I'm up to. So I want to thank everyone for your time, your energy on this Resurrection Sunday. I know it's been a long day for all of us. I especially want to thank you, Pastor Michael, for being our special guest tonight. And I want to wish everyone a happy resurrection into the newest, highest, most joyful, most prosperous version of yourself here on the Miracle of Prosperity. Good night.